So let's celebrate this day with the 4 webinar on diversity and cybersecurity sponsored by the Concordia European project. I am Elena Ferrari, and within Concordia I am co-leading the task on women in cyber. And beside webinars within Concordia, we are doing a set of action to promote diversity. So if you would like to know more about our activities, please join us and send us an email and look to our website where you can find further information about our activities. Within Concordia, we really think that developing and establishing a strong community is very, very important to promote diversity in the cybersecurity field. So if you want to join this effort, please do that. And today's webinar is about a very strategic topic that is industry. And to discuss about this topic, we have a set of distinguished panelists, and each of them will bring a different perspective to the topic. So I want to thank them very much for accepting our invitation, and we are all eager to listen to them. So without further delay, I will leave the floor to the panel moderator, Niels Gensenfelde. Niels is the head of the Department for Cyber Defense at the Research Institute CODE at the University of the Bundeswehr in Munich, Germany. And within Concordia, he leads the Industrial Work Package. So Niels, the floor is yours, and enjoy the panel.
Thank you very much, Elena. And also welcome from my side to today's panel discussion, Women in Cybersecurity Industry. And I see all the panelists have been added to the stream. So welcome, everybody. We are going to talk about the topic today with Maddalena. She is a cybersecurity threat analyst from Telecom Italia. We are having Maria. She is also from the threat intelligence sector, but coming from Telefonica. And we have Alessia, and she's a cybersecurity analyst. As for the models, we are going to have a brief talks about different topics that all touch women in cybersecurity industry. And afterwards, we will have a hopefully lively discussion about what had been said. And I would propose that if there are questions from the audience, please feel free to punch them into the chat also already during the talks. And I will then read the questions out after every talk, and the 3 women can then state their opinion to what has been asked. As for the order, we are going stepwise by the order of mentioning on the website. So the first to start is Maddalena. And Maddalena is, as I said, coming from the threat intelligence sector. She's working for Telecom Italia. And she holds a PhD in network security, and she is going to talk about, unfortunately, women in cybersecurity threat intelligence. So, Maddalena, we're looking forward to your statement.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you well.
Okay, nice. So happy Women's Day to everybody, to every woman connected. I work in cyber threat intelligence since 2017. Since Telecom Italia decided to build a threat intelligence platform, and since our process became a central point of Telecom Italia security defense system. I will start to some brief definitions just to for the audience if they are not familiar with that field. How can I go on? I can go on by myself, yes. So this is the second slide. Well, threat intelligence or cyber threat intelligence is information an organization uses to understand the threats that have, will, or are targeting an organization. This information is used to prepare, prevent, and identify cyber threats, which are looking to compromise the organization assets. So this is a standard definition, one of the standard definitions that I have taken from Force Point. So into more details, because since I'm involved in managing a threat intelligence platform, I'd like to talk about threat intelligence platforms. So what is a threat intelligence platform? It collects and interprets threat data in real time, enabling security teams to identify and prevent attacks, hopefully before they happen. This is not always the case. So TIPS enable security teams to better understand the threat landscape, to analyze in a real-time manner the information from a multitude of sources, and also the TIPS always enrich information, contextualize information, and help deciding the type and the severity of threats in order to be able to take the right actions, the right countermeasures. Mainly, TIPS are meant to offer support to SOC analysts, mainly. And because they are the department that are in charge of monitoring networks for malicious activities. And this activity requires knowledge of the modus operandi of adversaries. So how do we find malware traces inside logs, actually? So most of the time, defenders have very little traces, very little information. So they need more contextualized information in order to take decisions and to find more traces of compromise. So cyber attacks are constantly evolving, and analysts are struggling under the burden with a huge volume of threat data and also of vulnerability data created every day, and the attack vectors that are accumulating. It is it is fundamental to have access to the right threat data with the right context and at the right time. So this is where threat intelligence becomes fundamental. I will pass to the next slide. So in this slide, I just wanted to give an idea of where the threat intelligence process is or should be inside an organization. So it should be at the core, because it should be the platform that takes into input internal data from network traffic logs and vulnerability scans. And also takes information from other sources, from public OSINT or closing sources on the vulnerabilities and the threat feeds. And also from sources like dark web, social media, forums, and the human sources. The platform then has the main functionality is to implement the life cycle of threat intelligence, which is collecting, processing, analyzing, and disseminating threat information to the other departments that are inside an organization. So to the incident response team, security operations, vulnerability management teams, risk analysis, fraud management, and security leadership. So the security chief officers to help them take the right strategic and tactical decisions. Okay, so if we go further, I have a slide here which goes a bit more into details on the threat intelligence platform use cases and what is basically implemented by TIPS are the threat intelligence lifecycle automation, vulnerability management, threat hunting, and alerting, indicators, enrichment, and incident response support. And as I said before, the threat data dissemination and the bidirectional sharing of threat intelligence, both in income and outcome. Now we are coming to our subject, to our today's topic. Why are women necessary and desired in threat intelligence field? What are their strong points? And I speak here from personal experience, not only mine, but also of my colleagues inside threat intelligence and inside the security operation department of Telecom Italia. So women are perfectly able to work and be successful in this field. They are working successfully in the analysis of threat and vulnerabilities, and also in reporting. They are able to make the right questions, so not only in threat intelligence, but also in incident response, in investigation. Sometimes they also make too many questions and uncomfortable questions, like in real life. They are able to take decisions with little information at hand, because very often it happens. They are able to reach in optimum time compromises, but because they do it all the time in their lives. They don't give up, admit and correct errors, and this happens more often with women than with men. And here I think that all my colleagues agree on that point. So they are very, how to say it, very used and very willing to work in team. So to do team working, and they are capable of team and work organization. They also have a strong motivational role and support others. We have seen that teams where women is present are more creative and more motivated. And this is also something that an old professor of my university was telling me, that he was searching for women researchers, not only because of their technical skills, which nevertheless are necessary, but because they are perfectly able to help him making work the others member of the team, So apparently we have this also this role. The women are multitasking, and this is also something that we can see in everyday life. And last but not least, they are more courageous and truthfulness. So they often speak the truth. Okay. So then I would like to go to present you some numbers. This is something from the US Census Bureau, which was examining data from 1970 till 2019, so before the pandemic. And as you can see there, it seems that the total women employed, it is quite stable on 40% in the American society, but the STEM disciplines have increased. The employment in this field has increased, and we are now above 20% women in STEM. But as you can see from the larger graphic, in computer and in engineering, we are in engineering mostly. We are under 20%. Somewhere 15%, I think. And if we go to Italy, this is the next slide. Here we have a nice number, 36% of women in universities, but in STEM disciplines, only 17%. But in 2021, the situation got worse for women due to pandemic. Apparently, women were the first to leave their jobs, and they suffered more from lockdowns and various restrictions. And the source here is Il Sole 24 Ore, which is a prestigious economic journal in Italy. And this data is from August 2021. Also, what they are outlining is that in general, women have better final exam results, but they have lower occupational level, lower salaries, and less career opportunities. And paradoxically, they end eventually to have less technical skills after all. So we are still far from having equal opportunities to women. Sorry, well, I think that, no, we are here again on this slide, yeah. But nevertheless, experts say that diversity in workforce is strongly positive and desirable because it is proved to increase both production and creativity. And also, the cybersecurity field right now has a real skills shortage problem. And it is estimated that it will go on in the near future. And this gap could be filled in by women. And now we are on the last slide. On the last slide here, I wanted to give some numbers contextualized to Telecom Italia Mobile. So what we can tell you is that in cybersecurity, both in threat intelligence and cyber operations center, we are less than 12% women. And we have a hard time management and balance between a hard time to balance between work time and free family time. And sometimes it is very, very difficult to have spare time for family. And it is even more difficult in remote or smart working, because since we have started smart working, paradoxically, we have thought that we would have more time to dedicate to the families, but it is not so. We are here with our computers and our monitor inside our homes, and we are all working often after dinner, or we make late hours because in this field you never finish working. So the huge quantity of alarms cannot be of events cannot be so we know that we cannot work, we cannot finish everything. But even reaching the KPIs, which are far from optimal, is very difficult. And often we have very high work rates. So as far as team support to women is concerned, we have seen in the last year an increase in active support to women in healthcare initiatives, nursery school in some of our company buildings, also some other initiatives like study trip sponsorship and summer camps for employees' children. Also lately, because of pandemics, our children also suffered, and their efficacy, their results at school went down. So we have an innovative initiative to offer study assistance for employee children by using retired employees as volunteers. And well, some other nice initiatives like when someone is in quarantine, ex-employees can offer to bring food at home and so on. Okay, so other nice support that we have from our company is support to women leadership. So we also have in these last 2 years very nice courses, technical and motivational, psychological support courses. But we would like to see more concrete actions more than courses. And here my presentation ends. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Madalina. Also, thank you for a very informative opening talk, and thanks for making the obvious really explicit. Well, I have one question for you, and that is really targeted towards your employer. You said that there are already some initiatives by Telecom Italia in order to try to get more grip, let's put it this way, and in order to incentivize women to employ with your company. Do you see any concrete actions that your employer could take in order to attract more female employees, or do you feel the company's initiatives already suffice?
Well, I think they can do more. Yeah, they are already very good at it. I mean, as far as I can see, but it can be more can be done. Like, for example, participating more to universities, to let me say, also organizing courses in universities and encouraging students to come to visit our companies, which was quite difficult to do, to organize in the last years. And we have a lot of initiatives, but I think that, yeah, there is space for improvement. Nevertheless, in the last years, there are more and more initiatives in this field, and also we can see some results. Because in some other sectors, not in cybersecurity, but in other sectors, we have more women employed.
Do you have an idea how that can be the case? Why are women eager to work in other areas other than the one you're working in?
Well, I think it's quite challenging working in cybersecurity, and also maybe it is a newer field than the other security fields. So I think that maybe this is the case, and also in Security Operations Center we have a big exchange rate. I mean, the people reach fatigue very soon. And we cannot retain people very much. So, and especially for women, I think this is the case. Because the work loads are very high. And still, in a traditional Italian family, the woman role is still very important. You cannot delegate to men in some cases. I know that in some other countries it's not the case, but in Italy, yeah, I think that we are more, let's say, traditional.
Okay, and Madalena, I guess there's a perfect question targeting exactly what you said coming from the audience, and Elena was so kind to forward it. Thank you here. The question is role modeling important, and do you have any role model initiative in your company?
Not that I know about. I can inform about. I can ask some information, but I'm not aware. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Madalena, and I guess that is a perfect handover already to Maria, who is also working in the threat intelligence sector for more than 10 years, I guess. And she is working for a telco provider, but this time it is Telefonica. So, Maria, very happy to hear what you have to say about the topic.
Yes, thank you, everybody. I would like to say hello, every people who is joined to the meeting, and also to Happy Women's Day. Okay, so I think after this webinar, everybody knows what is threat intelligence because of the explanation of Madalena and the information that can add to this. What I would like to share with you is the relevance of non-technical professionals in cybersecurity. And I think the last question that you launched could be solved in a way with this presentation, okay? So first of all, let me go. Where I would like to give you a brief introduction of threat intelligence. Internet nowadays is full of threats that can impact in the company's business in a negative way. Okay, these threat intelligence teams can detect and analyze these threats, because a threat and the data by itself is not intelligence. As we know, we have data, but we need people who can manage this data. A threat can range from an online smear campaign to the selling of stolen credentials on a dark web forum, for example. These proactive detections could avoid critical situations in the companies later. And the key, I guess, to these teams, and Madalena already said, that is the diversity that we have in these teams. So let me give you some numbers of my team in Telefonica, because we have a variety of skills here. We have two type of teams, or two type of people. There are non-technical cyber professionals and cyber professionals with technical skills. You can see here that we have 60% of non-technical skills versus 40%. For what kind of degrees can join to fight with cyber attacks or whatever? Humanity degrees, communication, journalisms, history, criminologist. And on the other side, we have computer sciences, information sciences, and also computer engineering that everybody assume, right, by the bottom. And the good point that we have here is almost then 40% of this team are women. So this is great, because as we saw before, around 111 or 30% of the women are involved in the cybersecurity over the world. Why those technical profiles that we call intelligence analysts are important? Because their vision is key to contextualize these cyber threats, or these threats. They can provide a political, economic, and social context, and this context could raise the criticality of a threat already classified. Imagine that we have credential theft of a company. That is also an important thing, but also this threat it's happening when there is a sale of another company, or where is an important event inside the company. So these kind of things, or in the country, can increase the criticality of these threats, or this important thing. They are able to communicate also complex technical concepts to all types of audiences. That is a hard thing that we have to treat with when we have to explain in a technical or in a simple way some threat or some technical issue to a CEO or a CIO of a company, right? And we need to take into account that behind threats or fraud campaigns, always there are people that can think, and we need people to can analyze this behavior. And threats are not only ransomware attacks or leaks, as we were commented before, right? In this case, I would like to share with you some examples of threats that we can treat in our day-to-day. For example, now it's global conflict that we are facing, everybody, right? Nowadays, that is the Russia-Ukraine war. In this case, we need, and it's mandatory to understand this impact in terms of cybersecurity to affront or to face the situation from various perspectives. Because we need, in our case, in the Spanish company, we need to prepare to every single thing that can happen during the conflict. Because although the most important thing is the personal and the lives, we need to be aware of any cybersecurity attack or infrastructure or whatever, right? On the other side, on smear online campaigns, retail companies could be forced to remove their products from the market because an smear campaign, or energy companies can be forced to stop prospecting activities due to they generate controversy. And we have several examples of these situations, right, that impact directly in the budgetary of a company. And on the other side, in the information leaks, for example, the relevance of the intelligence analyst in cybersecurity incidents is very important, because they can give a perspective of a reputational perspective on a social network, or if there is something in one forum in the dark web that is selling or could be the cause of this incident, we can face this kind of things using this kind of people. And also another example could be the confidential information exposed before it came official. That could be a direct impact to a company. I am going to give you some numbers, in this case, Spanish numbers, right? And I would like to share with you some examples of how is distributed the Spanish university enrollment, the people who is enrollment during the 2020 to 2021, right? You can see that in Spain, the 26 of women are enrolling in engineering degrees, only the 14 are enrolling in computer degrees, but we can see that in, for example, I don't know if you can see philology or communications or journalism are quite good numbers. So we were commented that it's not we have people that are non-mandatory technical skills to work in cybersecurity. So what we can do with this data, get the message out. We can tell them that we can focus their careers, their degrees to cybersecurity, and not only studying computing, for example, no. So what we can get with this, that increase the number of non-technical professionals that are focused on cybersecurity, and also women in cybersecurity, because we know that by the base there are more women studying this kind of degrees, right? So the answer is, having a technical degree a must in order to work in cybersecurity? The answer is no. So I would like to tell you that you can tell your friends that they don't have technical skills, that they can join to us, because we are waiting to them. Okay, and that's my presentation.
Thanks, Maria. So you already gave the answer to your first question right on the slides. That is perfect. Thank you very much. And there was initially a question for Madalina, but I will pass that on also to you, Maria. And perhaps Madalina can also drop a few words on this. And it is coming from the audience. And the question is, do you think that high school education has already an effect on women or girls' choices for their careers? And do you think that adding some changes to the curriculum will make a difference in this case?
Yes. I think, and this is a discussion that we usually have, no, between the colleagues. And I think when you are 16, 18, probably you don't know what you want to do in a few years, right? So there are some careers or degrees that are more focused. If you want to be a doctor, you know what a doctor does. If you want to be a lawyer, probably you know what a lawyer does. But what does an engineer? I have a lot of friends engineer, and everyone are doing different things. So I think we are not enough informed in these cases. And I think in the case of cybersecurity, and it's a very, very interesting field, I think if we can tell all of the people what we can do here, probably they would like to enroll, and with different skills, because we saw that in my team, and probably in Madalina's team and Alessia's team, they have different kind of people with different skills. Not only women and men, we have philologists that can give her vision, lawyers, journalism that can analyze the situation. For example, in the last conflict that we were commented, in the conflict in Russia and Ukraine, it's very important to know the political context there, to try to analyze what are the risks that we can face in a few days or in a few weeks or wherever, no? And also making a mix with technical skills and also non-technical professionalisms, we can make the perfect team. So I think it's very important to tell these people, these young people, what they can afford to us, and we can what we can give them, no?
Mm-hmm. Yes, Madalina, what is your point in towards the question, as it was initially targeted to you?
Yeah. True. So as I said on the private chat, some analysts say that we need to start from age 10 in order for having let's say good preparation in STEM issues. So now I'm going back to the technical side, but it's true also that in cybersecurity and threat intelligence we also need the other skills, not technical. But in the STEM disciplines in Italy, I think there is a very, very big lack of instruction from the early years. I can tell you that I was raised in Romania, that in Romania they start with informatics since elementary school. So my son only started at the age of 12 with something which is very, very far from what they are doing in Romania at that age. So I think that we in high school it's quite late for STEM. So I think we can do something even where in the first years of school.
Yes, but would that also change the ratio of female workers, employees later on?
This is a double. We can have a side effect because sometimes we can this early approaching to these STEM disciplines can take away women's from from these disciplines, because if it is very and this is something that also happens in practice, because even if in my case, for example, just to bring a personal I didn't love mathematics when I was in the elementary, and only in the high school I started to love mathematics and physics because I met a very good teacher. So it's true that if sometimes when you meet these disciplines very soon in your life, the effect is the opposite. So yeah. But I can tell you that anyway, if we are also teaching security, we are making children aware of security issues in the first years, because they use the cell phone, the laptop, and the notepad. So I think it is very important to also teach them at least to be aware of threats, of other malicious activities since they are very young, because they are exposed to this technology anyway. So it is better to do it in the correct way, let's say, not
yes, completely agree. I completely agree, Madalena. And I guess that is a perfect handover to Alessia, because she is, well, she's working as a cybersecurity liaison officer. And Alessia, you are about to give us some insights on your thoughts on how to overcome the skill and gender gap.
Yeah, thank you very much. Can you hear me? Happy Women's Day from me also to all of you. And I also want to thank for the invitation to this webinar. Thank you very much, Niels. I will try to give you my contribute to a photography of the situation which I have had the occasion to observe during my professional activity. I'm a cyber consultant and a cyber advisory. I'm working also as a journalist. I changed my work very time, but that's why I can give you a more spread photography, because I'm trying to go on with the slide. I will try to focus on 4 points because it is important to understand the challenges. I mean, Maria and Madalena have said a lot about the situation in their respective company, but also something is going to happen actually in the world, in the job market, and it is important for all the women that is following us to understand that there is a huge amount of possibility inside this market, And in order to contribute, there are many, many ways, but also we need to believe much more in ourselves and in what we can effectively do. And not only on technical skill, as already said by Maria, but it is important to be aware of the situation. That's why I just want to give some hint. First of all, surely there is a gender gap in cybersecurity and in digital role. This is stated in many research and studies. I reported here the 2021 Women in Digital Scoreboard, which is a European study that confirms that this gender gap in digital skill, because only apparently from this study, 19% of ICT specialists are involved in technology, engineering, and mathematics, and graduates are female. All the other apparently are male. And this study is based on 12 indicators, but gives us a wide perspective from a European point of view. But then, if we see the World of Economic Forums, the global gender gap photographed in 2020 said something worse, that 1 in 10 workers, only 1 on 10 cybersecurity workers were women. And this is terrible if we consider the skill gap about which also Madalena was referring to, and also Maria during their speech. That is something that is changing in these days. Exactly, perhaps depends from the fact that there is a wide effort to change this situation. And in fact, I've reported our Italian situation, the Italian situation from university, that for 2022 states that from the Corriere.it, states that there is an increase in the women that join the faculty of engineer and computer science, but still we are from every 6 men that join university, only 1 is female. So there is a lot of work to do. Also because apart from the gender gap that is photographed in this way, there is my personal experience in I worked I have on my shoulder 25 years of working in digital and IT, and 15 in security. And I can say that also in several companies in which I worked, there were few female in technical roles, and especially in cybersecurity. I was basically at the very beginning an auditor, so I had the occasion to work on processes involved in security, and then partly in cyber threat intelligence, and also basically as a strategist in order to help company in make their cybersecurity posture be much more strong, and also working in organization and processes in order to get better their cybersecurity posture. But since, apart from my experience, I've found very often some resistance in colleague about the women in cybersecurity, and that's because there were, let me say, a mentality from the company which was very different. For instance, from team about which Madalena told us, or very different from the one in Telefonica that Maria told us. Perhaps I was unlucky with company, but then I've tried to change in order to find some working climate which could be much more willing to give women some spaces and the possibility to be involved mostly in cybersecurity. I've found it, and I won't do many name in about company because I've changed it roughly 13, and I'm going in a brief to join another one as an experience as a manager. But then because I've always wanted to join some project which were interested from my side, and about which I had the occasion to change the kind of experience in cybersecurity and in the kind of activity that I have to do. Basically, based on my experience, there is also a big difference in salary. This is also something that we all know because for the same kind of having the same skill and being considered for the same role, the salary is very, very different. Sometimes is worse for 20% also. And we are still unbelievably considered in this way, and actually also me. I have to say that I don't know why, but it is something that we have experimented and is continuing, even if there is something that is changing, and we will see why, because there has been a changing in law for equal opportunity in Italy, and therefore perhaps something may change. Anyway, there are also a lot of bias on STEM and cybersecurity that regards women. First of all, relatives that in the family very often do not encourage female to join cybersecurity roles or also STEM roles because they think that is too much difficult or not suitable for female. Very often, because of this, young women may say about themselves, "Oh, okay, I'm not suitable for mathematics," or "I'm not suitable," like Madalena said before about the fact that she didn't like mathematics. But then, to be honest, it's only a matter of curiosity. It's only a matter of try and then see if something becomes suitable. Also, there is a consideration, a generic consideration that cybersecurity is for nerd only. So people that have to stay closed in an office, closed in some sort of room, only with the computer, without any social activity, without any possibility to enjoy himself or herself. And also there is the consideration that there is too much competition because it is a male environment, and therefore there is too much competition. Very often girl and young women are not interested in competition. They don't want to be involved in competitional dynamics, and also they feel in some way, perhaps from the mothers that have experimented already some kind of work and office situation, that there is a crystal ceiling. Perhaps the crystal ceiling there is. I've only experimented on my skin, but I can tell you that can be in some way we can go over the crystal ceiling. Let's say we can change the occupation, we can try to continue to study. We have a lot of things that we can do to not make us stop by the crystal ceiling, because every time in the world and in the job market, someone will try to stop you for very different reasons. But it is, if something that we want to do is interesting for us, is something that for which we have passion, I don't think that is correct to make to stop only because someone don't want us to go ahead. It is also a matter of lack of self-confidence, because sometimes we feel not enough prepared for certain roles and for certain tasks. But I tell you a secret, very often also male are not prepared, but they try and risk much more. They try and just trying to enter in the swimming pool and let's say try to swim as the best as they can. And very often we are in some way stopped by our request of perfectionism. Our let's say we feel that we have to be perfect for a certain rule, otherwise it is not suitable to join it, and it is something that goes against us. There is also something like a mental prison that stop us, and it is something that we need to overcome by believing much more in ourselves, believing much more in what we can do. Also, there is a poor orientation at school because there are not enough information about the possibility not only of career, but of the fact that in the job market there is a lot of space also for women in STEM discipline and also in cybersecurity. If we see what happens actually in the job market, we can see that women are very well, very poor, a poor number of the total. They also have a lot of difficulties in find certain kind of activities, professional activities. And also with the pandemic, I've found a lot of information from also job tech that women lost much more works if compared with men. But then female has got a better educational level, so they also perform better than men and obtain with a higher number of degrees if compared with their male colleagues. But then and so there is a situation which is a paradox, because female graduate earlier, better, but have difficulties in finding work, and when they do, they gain less salary than men, and surely they have much more difficulties in reach C-level position. Also because this kind of parity opportunity do not exist, even if it would be important for company to try and to involve mostly female and women in well, they should facilitate them in arrive to this C-level position, because very often they are not in the short list also. And this is a pity, because there should be a matter of merit. There should be something, a kind of dynamic based on their capability to reach goals. And sometimes these level position have given by some kind of dynamic that you already perhaps know very well, but that can be changed. In a way to change is, first of all, it may come from a parity certification, which is something that has been asked also from the PNRR in Mission 5 for the inclusion and cohesion, because there is a changing in the law 16662 of the 2021. And in this kind of law, there is a request for equal opportunity, and there are some evidences with which company may take advantage in put in practice some initiative for the gender equality, and this activity goes in the direction of the concrete measure to reduce the gap, to make some growing opportunity for women. There should be an equal pay for equal job. There should be also a kind of management for gender differences and maternity protection. If the company try to join and to obtain this parity certification, should obtain the company may obtain 1% discount on the contribution to be paid. So there is something that may try to give an advantage also for the company. But from the side of the organization, from the side, on the other side, there should be some more training, some more guidance since middle school, because when you told that in university and also in the upper higher school, there are few women, few girls that join STEM. This means that in the middle school, the orientation is poor. There are not enough information on how the job market may be considered, and also it is in the middle school that most of the bias begin to spread within girls and boys. We need also to encourage girl and female with scholarship or specific program. I'm also sure that if we can do much more events like this one, with testimonials and also with role modeling, we may testimoniate better that it is possible to work in this kind of market, and also it is possible to maintain a professionality which is something valuable also for your personal interest. For instance, there are many technical topics like threat intelligence that you already explained, but also there are most of them related to risk. There are many related to technical ways in which software can be produced in a much more secure manner. So there are many topics that can be in some way studied and also can become an effective job. Also, finally, mentorship and coaching through women association and also project like this may reinforce the concept that working in digital environment and in cybersecurity is something that can be done. Also because we, as a women, have naturally the problem-solving skill, let's say. It is something that all of we experimented. Likewise, the lateral thinking, which is something that is also important for cybersecurity, because very often a solution to a security problem may come not only from a technical solution, but also through organization, a different organization, different processes. There should be many different consideration that has to be done in order to solve a problem. And finally, I want to just say, just give a photo of the number of unfilled cybersecurity jobs that are that have been noticed since 2013. We consider also this need of 3.5 million until 2025 worldwide, as a in order to give you the dimension of the job market and its requirements. And also it is important to notice that not only let's say Italian agency, but also private company is searching for several digital skills, and even if it is very difficult to find them. So I would suggest to, for sure, join not only university, but also try to face with the STEM discipline. And I want also to point out that the mix of digital skill, it is something that can be gained continuing to study, continuing to maintain interest in training, continuing to maintain ourselves curious, and therefore this kind of orientation is important not only for the STEM and for the cybersecurity, but also for every kind of job or work that we want to join. So in my experience, curiosity, let's say thinking out of the scheme, are something that can be applied not only to cybersecurity but also in digital skill. And with this, I'm closing my speech. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Alessia. We are already way over time, and that is obviously also due to the fact that the topic we're talking about today is so important. And I'm very happy we also have a couple questions coming from the audience. And first off, Alessia, besides thanking you again, I would like to come back to Maria, as there was a question, because I mean, raising the ratio of female employees is also possible by including non-technical professionals, as you already said correctly, Maria. And the question coming from the audience is, what kind of training would you recommend to those non-technical professionals, in particular lawyers, it is said here, interested in developing a career in cybersecurity field?
Yes, this is an example perfectly given. No, for example, in my case, what we have, my case is not the case that I don't have non-technical degree, because I am telecommunication engineer. But in my team, there are people who study political scientists, for example, philology, as I said before, criminologist also. And I think if you are interested in a non-technical degree, and you have curious, as Alessia say, regarding the cybersecurity, you can complete this career or this degree with a master in cybersecurity, more focused on the information that we are treating every day. But, or for example, some let me check the company that, but there are a lot of work, a lot of certifications in, let me check it quickly.
Maybe SANS.
SANS, yes, thank you, Alessia. Or Madalena, I don't know, Madalena was, no? Okay, thank you. Yes, SANS, for example. But I think they have the base, but they can always study something related with concrete certifications, CISSP or CISM or SANS certifications, or make a master, do a master, so they can complete, just to give them this cybersecurity focus or study that they need to be ready to fight with in this field, right? Because then all of the rest of the things that they need, they are going to learn it and working, right?
Well, that also brings me to a question, Alessia. You said a lot about the market initiatives. You told us that women are usually better educated in a shorter period of time. So that brings me right to the point. What are the challenges in the cybersecurity market, like concrete challenges in the security market? And what would you suggest to face them?
Well, the challenges for thank you for the question. The challenges for women is in some way to understand that the market is very rich of different skill and technicalities, and there are a lot of different kind of roles that can be covered surely not only by women, but especially by women, because what I was saying before about the situation and the challenges, and especially about bias, it is something that can be completely solved by the correct approach. Let me do an example. For instance, very often in cybersecurity, we consider only attack and defense. Okay, there is also only defenders, attackers, and then analysis of the surface attack modeling, threat analysis, and so all the analysis that regards victims or attackers. There is something more. In cybersecurity, like digital market, get thicker, let's say, and enrich of a lot of different needs. For instance, all the risk area and that needs to be able to evaluate risk and also communicate risk to manager, because very often managers are not able to understand technical problem, but are able to understand impacts in money words, let's say, in economics, and therefore it is very important to understand framework of risk analysis in order to communicate correctly that the impact of a risk. And therefore there is a big need in these times to make cybersecurity topics comes out from data center and enter in the, let's say, Gulf or some other kind of environment in which managers used to stay. With this, I want to say that very often it's also a matter of correct communication in cybersecurity. There is a need to discuss with C-level about not only risk, but also how to face them. And very often their solution is not only technical. Sometimes it is an organizational one. For instance, very often we used to say that information security manager shouldn't stay under an information manager, because otherwise budget may not be considered in the correct way. And also very often we support the cybersecurity risk as one of the enterprise risk. And that's to say that in the organization, those kinds of roles, for instance, the cybersecurity manager, and those kinds of processes like the enterprise risk and the cybersecurity risk should be changed in importance, make this role of the cybersecurity manager and the risk, the cybersecurity risk, to the correct level. All of this ability to discuss this topic, and also the topic that regards application security and also digital identity, are all technical topic that requires soft skill about which women are full, and therefore they all of them shouldn't fear to enter in detail in this kind of topic, because in the companies there is a great and wide need of roles that are able to discuss mixed capabilities and mixed topics. This is my recipe, let's say, to go ahead of the cybersecurity challenges related to gender gap.
Okay, thank you very much. And I guess that you were only saying that we need more events as the one that we're having right here. We need to talk about about the issues. We need to clarify which people we need. And I would take the chance to thank all of you again for attending this webinar. This goes to the audience, especially to the speakers, of course. And I hope to see us back in this or a similar round as soon as possible. And with this, I would like to hand over to Elena in order to close the webinar. Thank you again.
Okay, thanks, Niels, and thanks all the speakers for the very inspiring presentation, and also to the audience for the interesting questions. And I really hope to see all of you in one of our future events. Now, because we think that mentorship is very important, you can have the opportunity to have a private, short conversation with one of the speakers. So you have just to press the networking button and you will be randomly paired with one of the speakers to have a short conversation. So with this, thanks again very much, and enjoy the rest of the Women's Day. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.